This one I have been getting a lot of suggestions for, so I'm finally doing the subject, what if the Roman Empire never fell? Well, this depends on what you mean by a Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, survived until 1453. And when you put that in context, the Roman Empire didn't fall until 40 years before Columbus discovered America. That seems like a good run, if you ask me. So, if we want to know how life today would be different if Rome never fell, we have to look at the factors that led to the empire falling, or at least its split between East and West, which marked the end of the true Roman Empire. Historians point to a number of factors that led to this collapse, such as inflation, the economy, barbarians, and even Christianity. For Rome to survive, it would have had to overcome these very difficult situations, which in most, if not all cases, were impossible. A lot of these problems which led to its demise were substantial to its very existence. The addition of barbarian troops into their ranks and the need to expand to repay those barbarian troops with land was necessary in keeping the Roman hold strong in Europe. Many of the problems that caused Rome to fall were not just limited to one or two issues, such as invaders or corruption. It was a combination of simultaneous issues which hit the empire all at the same time. So, for this scenario, let's assume that at the height of Roman influence in 117 AD, Rome did not begin to crumble, but instead began to invade more and more land to secure more power in Europe. The thing about the Roman Empire was that it was incredibly diverse. Once Rome invaded the Italian peninsula, they began to encompass more people and tribes with the new land. With new people, this leads to more diversity and a greater change in the Roman Empire. If the Roman Empire would survive and eventually invade new lands, the empire would look less Roman and more of a collection of Europe's ancient tribes and peoples. Conquered Germanic and Gallic tribes would fight for the Romans and spread the empire, and the empire would be more Germanic than Roman. Assuming that the empire would continue to grow and more Germanic tribes would be assimilated into the Roman Empire, they would mesh themselves in the Roman government and military ranks. After a couple decades, Germanic warriors would feel need for compensation and relations would begin to suffer between Gaul districts and Italia. Eventually, the Roman Empire would have less and less power over the northern German territories, and those lands would be regulated by the same German tribes which lived there. The empire would look less like an empire, but more of a united band of warriors and generals who pledged allegiance to the emperor. Now, since the Romans built infrastructure wherever they went, it is easy to assume that once they conquered Germania, the Romans would build new outposts and roads across Central Europe. These outposts would rise to become new cities, replacing Berlin and Munich, and these cities would share a common history with Paris and London. The relationship between the Germans and Romans begins to thin, and the Germans rebel against the Romans and launch a new war against Rome. Let's assume that somehow the Romans win and are able to not only defeat the Ostrogoths and Visigoths, but also the Vandals, Goths, Angles, Jutes, Saxons, and the good old Huns. So if somehow Rome was able to not only defeat all of them, but push them out or assimilate them all in the Roman territory, then perhaps the Roman Empire would continue to survive. This is only the first part that I'll be talking about Rome. In the second part, we'll be discussing Christianity, Islam, Russia, and the Mongols. Till next time, this is Cody from the Alternate History Hub.